Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am as Prabhakar from the Delhi Entertainer. In this episode of Prabhakar in Conversation with Achievers, I have with me retired Colonel Girishwar. Girish was raised in Delhi and has a glorious career in Indian Army and retired as Colonel in 2021. He did his MTech from IIT Kharagpur. He got a unique opportunity of being part of India peacekeeping force in Sri Lanka at a very young age of 21 years. In this episode of Chat Show, a first for him, he shares his wonderful journey and what it takes to serve defense and serve the motherland. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce Colonel Girish. Good evening, Girish. How are you doing?
Good evening. Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
First, can you share something about your childhood and Delhi days?
Well, I must confess and admit that my childhood days in Delhi were by far the best in my life. I was born an Andhraite, but I've been brought up in Delhi along with my younger brother. My father being in the central government service in Delhi. I had some remarkable memories of my youngster days in Sector 3 RK because we had a common flat. Later on we moved to Lodi colony also. I had some wonderful friends, neighbors, and they were all like father and mother figures to me. Undoubtedly, I think if I have to relive any part of my life, it will be my first 15 years of my life as a child, that is.
Like any other kid, especially a South Indian or Andhra kid, you might have dreamt of doing engineering or medicine, but when the seat to go to the army has swung in your mind?
So that is quite interesting. When we shifted to our government accommodation in Sector 3 RK in Delhi, they used to go on school bus that used to come right across our house. Okay. It was not more than 10 meters or 15 meters from the house. So my father opined that this is the best thing that is possible. You have a school bus that is coming home. And so he inquired, which school is this? So that happened to be Mount St. Mary's in Delhi Cant.
Okay.
And that time the traffic also was not heavy, and reaching the school was just about 20-25 minutes with a school bus. Now, by the fact that the school existed in a cantonment area, it used to pass through a few army units alongside the road. And somewhere I liked that uniform, that military bearing, the discipline and the smartness that used to exude from the people whom I used to see on the road. I think maybe that time I probably had an inkling that this is the kind of life I want to lead.
Okay.
And when I was in my 6th standard, I was standing in the morning assembly. Suddenly I saw one 12th standard boy who was a head boy, whom I had not met and neither had seen. He was standing erect on the school podium and gave the command, "School, attention!" The entire school went silent and the morning assembly, and that strong was his voice. And I just asked the person ahead of me, the student ahead of me, my classmate, who's this new head boy whom we have? Coincidentally, he happened to be my classmate's elder brother.
Okay.
Who for some reason, some medical reason, he had to quit after the first semester of National Defence Academy. And that's the first time I ever heard of a place like the National Defence Academy. I think these two instances of seeing people in the cantonment and this elder brother of my classmate, which probably sowed the seeds of joining the army for me.
Okay.
Way back, maybe I was in the 6th standard then, I think.
6th standard, okay. From your part is okay, but I know that I also belong to a Andhra middle class Brahmin family, and hardly I find anybody sending their kids to any armed forces or defense. So what was the scenario in your house? Were your parents ready when you told them for the first time that I want to join army? Were they supportive, or you have to persuade them to go to army?
I am grateful that I have very accommodating and very understanding parents. Though they knew that I was harboring the ambition of joining the defense forces in the time that incident took place, and I was trying to make my own inquiries as to what is National Defense Academy, what is Indian Military Academy, what is Army, what is Air Force, and what is Navy. My parents had always encouraged me to understand what all choices are there for a person's career. And that time I remember joining the National Defense Academy. Even today also, it is one of the most prestigious things. And my father and my mother were very glad that maybe I had taken a choice of a career in the defense forces by which I can directly join the services and do my bit for our country and for our countrymen. My parents were certainly very enthusiastic and very supportive in my efforts towards joining the defense forces.
Now, please share how did you get into it, in the sense that did you go for any special training, or like for every competitive exams we used to have training in those days. So did you do self-study or go for any specific training from any institute? What is the process of getting into Army in those days?
So, National Defense Academy is one of the earliest ways to join the defense forces as a commissioned officer. And during the time when I joined, that was way back in July 1984, wherein the entry was after the 11th standard itself. No special training I took. You have to appear for a UPSC examination, and thereafter you have to attend an SSB interview, after which a merit list is taken out, and based upon the merit, since only a certain number of cadets, as they call when they join the National Defense Academy, only a certain number can actually join them. So I made it in merit, but I did not take any formal training. To my good advantage was, since I picked up the science stream after my 10th standard, so that helped clear the exams. Okay. And in the SSB also, it was just pure luck that all my choices and pet questions on sports and other global activities was generally thrown at me, including some situational awareness, which probably I did well. So this was way back in July 1984 when I first set my foot in the hallowed portals of National Defense Academy.
It was in Dehradun, or which place it is?
So National Defense Academy is in a place called Khadakwasla, from about 20 kilometers from Pune. During my time, the National Defense Academy was split in two parts. It was the first semester used to be in a place called Ghorpuri, which is now the National Sports Academy for medicine, which is closer to Pune, where you spend the first where I spent the first 6 months. And then from second to sixth semester, you go to this beautiful place called Khadakwasla, a little away from Pune. But now the first to sixth terms are now currently being held in Khadakwasla in Pune, all together only. So that is how. So National Defense Academy is basically a two-step process of writing the exam, qualifying in the merit for SSB, qualifying in SSB, and then qualifying in merit, in the overall merit, to join the NDA.
Okay. Civilians are always given the impression that army training is very tough, and in many movies, of course, we get all the our education through movies only. Many times it is shown positively, sometimes it is lampooned off also about that tough training officers, and many people cracking and getting out of it or thrown out of it. So is it really so? Is it really tough, number one? Number two, the discipline. Of course, we always find army people to be extremely disciplined. So how that discipline is inculcated in the training there, and subsequently throughout their life, they are disciplined definitely compared to any other walk of life we see, especially when you are in the private sector or government offices. We don't see that much of a discipline. So what is so special about the army training which inculcates all these things in you?
So the training part firstly dwells more on developing your mental toughness. They try to make you explore your own willpower. They try to make you explore your own physical stamina and strength. They try and make you explore your own attributes and traits, which as a 15 or 16-year-old, when you join the National Defense Academy, you are rarely aware of. So the training part is basically to take out the inner you and then excel on those aspects which you are good at and improve on those aspects which you are weak at. Somebody may be weak in running, then yes, some more emphasis given on his physical build-up. Somebody may be a little weak in studies, so there are ways and means by which he is brought up at par. Somebody may be weak on mental toughness, then they make him undergo the regime so many times that becomes second nature to him. So the entire training is focused on making a soldier out of you. You are only a 16-year-old, a chubby kind of a fellow when you join. But when you are graduating from the National Defence Academy or any other academy of defence forces, you will find that your entire body has become rock solid in a very short period of time. And I can vouch for the fact that almost any cadet anywhere in the defence forces has a six-pack or an eight-pack without asking. That is the kind of training that is done. And training starts, there's no start or end, training is 24/7. There is an official part of training and there's an unofficial part of training. The official part of the training is quite regulated, in which there is the physical training, there's a drill, there is a cross-country championships, there are various exercises that you have to clear and pass, there are some studies that you do, including some foreign languages you have to study. And then there's an unofficial part which is actually taught to you by your seniors in the squadrons that you have, who actually build up that kind of core strength which the army demands out of you. The biggest being not to crack. The biggest being to face the challenges. And the biggest being keep rolling even if you keep getting punched. So that is something that is ingrained in you from the time that you step into the academy. With that kind of a upbringing and with that kind of a training that you have in the academy, it holds stead for you for the next 30, 40 years or whatever time you're there in the army. You will always and every time recollect your training, which will always propel you to do many more things that the army desires of you. So training is essentially to build up your personality, and after all, as an officer, you have to be in front of your men. You have to be shoulder to shoulder with them. You have to be the person whom they should look up to you in a leadership role. That is what training is all about. You have to lead your men from the front. You have to be accepted by your men. So you have to be as good or if not better than your men for them to accept you. It's a very, very important facet of army life.
That's great, great. Did you enjoy the tough training which you undergone at the Defence Academy? And to begin with, at any point of time, did you ever thought that no, I may not be able to sustain this much of a pressure, or physical or mental or anything like that? Or of course, seeing your career, I shouldn't have asked this question, but did you ever thought of getting out of it, or have you ever seen people just dropping in between and getting out of the academy?
So none of my peers in my family have been in the defence forces. So walking into the defence force was a totally new environment for me. I was from a proper civilian school in Delhi. I had no friends in the army, and I did not know the A of the army. So when I walked into the academy, I did not know what to expect, and that perhaps is what has helped me. I did not know what was expected. So every day was a day of training, for a day of learning, for a day of reflecting whether I made the right choice. But the beauty of this entire training schema is that they don't give you time to think. They will push you to the limits of exhaustion to such an extent that you won't know when you're sleeping, when you're getting up, when you're tying your shoelaces, and what activity you're doing. Those 3-4 years of training that takes place in the Army, Air Force and Navy will just pass by like a breeze. You only reflect on your training once you are commissioned, and then you realize, oh my God, I've done all this. It is very hard to believe. Today also I can guarantee and vouch for the fact that any person in the defense forces, any commissioned officer in defense forces will always view his training as the bedrock of discipline, as they call in the Army or Air Force and Navy. And definitely those were the days that make an officer out of you. Okay. Because that is exactly where you build up those personality traits, those leadership qualities. You learn how to face hardships, challenges, any extent of physical exhaustion. And why they make you do is because tomorrow when you are in a leadership role, when you distribute or give a task to somebody, you should know yourself how much time, what resources, how difficult it is, and whether the assignment of a task is correct or not. Okay. If you don't go through the same regime yourself, you perhaps will end up being on the wrong side of the role that you're actually meant to be performing. And that is why this training is very important. Yes, while training, I am just like any other one. There are ups and downs, and sometimes you do reflect, all my friends are probably partying, and here I am. I'm not having the time to even, have a full meal. And when you write, those times there were no prevalence of digital technology. So we were writing letters like snail mail, and I used to see all my friends what all they would be sending me postcard pictures and of what all they've been doing as part of school activity, college activities. So none of which I underwent. So those times to feel that what am I doing here? I mean, I could also enjoy life. But then on the flip side, my friends, the same ones whom I used to probably, envy, I will say, they used to feel mighty proud that a classmate of theirs has joined the National Defense Academy and doing some great service for the nation. So it was a win-win situation on both sides. But yes, there have been some moments when you feel low during training. I'll definitely admit that.
Okay. Now coming to the very important question, which I always I wonder about that, because having worked in corporate for a very long time, and of course I also used to be a tough boss, though understanding boss, but very tough boss, that I used to listen to my juniors, but when a decision is taken, because you are the person who is responsible, I used to stay with people, now you have to accept it and follow it, but which never happens in corporate. Or a government or any other walk of life, including our own houses, there's always arguments going on. Or nowadays, when we talk of every time a next generation, we say that this generation guys don't listen to the parents or anybody for that matter. But when it comes to the defense, I always wonder that it's a command. Everybody has to accept and follow the commands of the seniors. So why it is so, or how people are trained to accept in any sort of an order given, even if it is going and fighting in the front, and ultimately, unfortunately, in some cases losing life also. Even a army person knows that, a Jawan knows that if I go forward, I am going to be killed. But still, if the order comes, he has to accept that, and he willingly accepts it. Not that somebody forces him. How it all happens in armed forces?
Yeah, that's a very nice question. Armed forces is a great leveler in the society. If you look around you, if I look around my own batchmates or my own unit personnel, you will find that they are the sons of the same soil. They come from different backgrounds, different societies, different religions, different upbringing. But the training that is imparted in the various academies of the armed forces, that's a great leveler. It brings everyone down to Mother Earth, and you have to start afresh. And what they actually develop in you is the team spirit that is required. You watch my back, I will watch your back. In the defense forces, there is never any distinction that is done between any two people. The distinction only exists in the kind of the corps that you join, like engineers, signals, infantry, armored. Otherwise, the training is by and large 60 to 70% same.
Okay.
What is taught over there is you are taught about the rules and regulations of various aspects of operations, of warfare, as well as administrative requirements also. These rules are exactly the same for each one of this 12 lakh strong Indian Army that we have. So everybody follows the same rule book and everybody knows what is to be done. Today if somebody walks in through a door, he knows what is to be done. This is an essential part of the training wherein you are taught that you have to follow these rules. Any person stepping out of the line is obviously some corrective measures are taken so that he understands why it is important and accordingly is brought back to the correct place. So this team spirit that is developed during the training and this allegiance to the rules that are there, that is what takes you forward, because then you are very sure that if I am on the left, I'll find a person right at 5 yards in the night. If I have a weapon that can fire at 300 meters, it will fire at 300 meters. If I have called for some support of artillery, it will be there at the time that I want. These are the kind of aspects that you are trained for. The confidence that you get because you are sure you have undergone the same training. Everybody after you and before you has also undergone the same training. We all know that we can depend on each other. We all know by the time I go there, this will be available. By the time I reach a certain place, this will be possible. But if I am not able to progress on one line, somebody else already progressing on another line. I'll capitalize on that. So this aspect of being trained under the same umbrella gives us that inherent confidence of, even though you don't know who the person behind who is going to probably support you from any side or the flanks or ahead or behind, but you're very sure that man, that weapon, that equipment will be there. So if suppose some command is given that yes, you have to do this, it is not a blind command. It is done with a lot of deliberation. There are lots of plans that are made. There are very contingencies that are catered for when you make a plan. You just don't stick to one plan. You practice and rehearse those contingencies. You are made confident of the rules and procedures you're going to follow in any particular aspect. And that is how we actually progress our own operations. The mantra being mutual cooperation and definitely esprit de corps in whichever arm or service that you're serving, and the blind faith and belief that there is just like how I am watching somebody's back, somebody is watching my back.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to know. Secondly, many people who go to defense services, whatever they are qualified, 10+2 or graduate, they remain there only. But many people, of course, got opportunity also to further pursue their academics, and you are one of them. I think after joining the defense armed forces, you did your, I think, BTech and also I think MTech. So what made you to make that choice of educating yourself further and going into that line of armed services rather than going as remaining as a soldier only?
So the army has got various divisions. They've got technical arms in the sense like Corps of Engineers, Corps of Signals, Corps of EME. They got other arms like Armored Corps, Infantry, Artillery, Air Defense, Int Corps, ASC, so Ordnance. So there are various divisions that are there in the army. Now, when you finish your training, though you can give your choice as to which arm or service you want to join, actually it is more based upon some draw of your luck of which arm or service you'll join. It is not everybody's choice.
Okay.
Only the top 10 people or top 1% of the people who are training are perhaps given that chance to give a choice which they will definitely get.
Okay.
There are a few more criteria by which you can get the, let's say if someone's father has already served in a particular service or a arm, then that his ward can apply for the same. But 90% people don't know till the day they are getting commissioned which arm or service they will be joining.
Okay.
Yes. So I was fortunate that I applied for the Corps of Engineers and I got the Corps of Engineers. The Corps of Engineers is a very unique arm. It has got a combat side and it has got a technical side. This combination does not exist in any of the other arms. In the combat side, the Corps of Engineers masters in building the field defenses required to be occupied by our troops. They make troop habitat in the form of shelters. They lay minefields to protect the defenses. They breach the enemy minefields to enable our own forces to go through. They make bridges across rivers, both in peacetime as well in war also. So there's a varied set of tasks, and after your basic technical tasks are complete, you're supposed to be co-opted with the fighting forces to, shoulder to shoulder, you're with them with the same kind of weaponry. Okay. So this was a very unique chance that was given to me to have the best of both the worlds. I knew that I was more academically oriented. I loved learning. I loved to apply my learning. And so joining Corps of Engineers helped me in achieving my ambition, my wish to a great extent. Now in the Corps of Engineers, since we had just passed out from 11th standard, and when you pass out from the National Defence Academy, you get the BSc degree from JNU. Okay. And those who had opted for the non-science stream, they get BA degree from JNU. Okay. But like I said, during training, you really don't know what you're studying and what you're not studying. But after having joined the Corps of Engineers, you have to undergo a formal education in engineering. Okay. So you are given a BTech degree after doing a 3-year graduation program of JNU that is held in the College of Military Engineering in Pune, which is mandatory for all Corps of Engineer officers unless and until one has joined as a priorly qualified BTech officer.
BTech officer, okay.
Yes. So that is a 3-year stint, and you get a chance to do your BTech. I did my BTech electrical, and because by virtue of my degree, I was a little more armed in performing the other technical works which are required to be done, which also includes electrification and water supply and any other or even the civil construction as well. Okay. Because in lots of places you will find that all the army areas are generally maintained by the people from Corps of Engineers, in addition to other civil engineers also over there. And while during this service, there was an opportunity for me to pursue a master's also. You have to again sit for a competitive exam, and you have to sit through an interview. And God gave me a chance to do my MTech in computer science from IIT Kharagpur.
Very good.
And so I was electrical engineer on one side and also computer engineer on the other side. So this combination helped me to have some good stints in the engineering aspects as well as in the digital field also. Okay. So this is how I amalgamate both and made a nice life of myself in the army.
Excellent, excellent. Can you briefly take through the journey from commissioned officer till colonel? What all the the ranks and how you got promotions and where are the places you posted briefly?
So I was commissioned in 1988, 11th of June, and that is sacrosanct for me and for my batchmate, because that is one day that one never forgets.
Never forgets, yes.
So that remains with you throughout the time that you serve in the army. So that time the commissioning rank was a second lieutenant. Yeah. So since I was in the army, I graduated from the Indian Military Academy, wherein they invite your parents, and your parents put that first star on your shoulders.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's
the papers every time.
Yes, covered. Yes. So that's a very stoic and a poignant moment for all of us, because that not only culminates the end of one phase of training, because you continue to learn wherever you are, but definitely with your parents by your side, and they're also in total awe of your achievements. There is no greater moment of happiness that one feels. So once we got commissioned as a second lieutenant, my unit was 18 Engineer Regiment. It was a newly raised regiment, and it was deployed in Allahabad for making a temporary bridge across the Yamuna River for Kumbh Mela. Yes. So, a small anecdote, maybe over the course of time I can narrate. But after that, we moved to Mathura, which was the original place of posting. And soon as we moved to Mathura, we were given orders to go to the Kashmir Valley. While the unit was to move to Kashmir Valley in about 4-5 months, I was given an order to go to Sri Lanka in IPKF operations for 3-4 months. So the intervening period between my tenure at Mathura and the move to the valley was spent in Sri Lanka. All this was as second lieutenant only. So after Sri Lanka, I came back to the valley, and there I've always heard that Kashmir is very beautiful, and undoubtedly it was a beautiful sight that awaited me. And when I moved my unit, all those snow-clad mountains and beautiful roads and chinar trees along the way, I thought this is a youngster's paradise. But soon, as you are all aware, terrorism struck. The militancy in the valley was at its height, so we moved in, and so it was a very busy tenure over there. After the valley, I got this chance to do my BTech in Pune, in this College of Military Engineering, and having finished my BTech in College of Military Engineering, I got posted to another regiment that was in Pathankot. In Pathankot, it was another sector that was facing the Pakistan border, and it was a totally different terrain. It was a time when I had made it from a second lieutenant to a lieutenant to a captain, and in Pathankot I got promoted as a major. From Pathankot, I went back to my original unit of 80 Engine Regiment because my unit was going to Nagaland and Assam. After a short stint there, I brought the unit back to Firozpur. From Firozpur, I went to do my MTech in Kharagpur. After MTech in Kharagpur, I had a tenure as an instructor in computer science in the same college from where I did my BTech. And then again I posted back to the valley because my unit was back in the valley. All this is up to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Thereafter, I got posted to a place called Nalia as a garrison engineer. This is absolutely on the tip of the Kutch area of Gujarat.
Okay.
And you could even see the lights of Karachi from that place. It was just that ambient lights. Then from Nalia, the unit was still in the valley. And we went back to a place called Jodhpur. Thereafter, over a period of time, I got promoted as a colonel, and I went as the commander works engineers to Chennai. After Chennai, I got posted to Leh. Then I came to Jodhpur, Calcutta, Port Blair, Hyderabad, Sukna, and finally I retired
as a colonel. You retired as a colonel?
I retired as a colonel. I retired as a colonel in September 2021.
Now we come to the very crucial and critical part of your army life, your participation in the India Peacekeeping Force, IPKF. You can share whatever experience you can share and permitted and you are comfortable with. Okay. When did you get the call to join IPKF?
So this was in May 1989.
Okay.
Then we got a signal saying that I have to report to a transit camp in Chennai called Tambaram, from where I was to board a ship and go to Sri Lanka, the port being Palai, and this was way back in May 1989. That time,
how old are you at the time?
So I was 21.
Oh, very young. Very one of the youngest to go.
No, actually, what happened was that you see, by the name you can make out that it is Indian Peacekeeping Force. So by the Sri Lanka court, we were supposed to go there as peacekeepers and ensure that no violence takes place. However, things didn't turn out the way it was planned. So we were pushed into this counterinsurgency warfare that was there. And the Indian Army is at that point in time was largely trained on conventional warfare, where you know that there is an enemy across a line. But very rarely has been instances wherein you feel that the enemy is all around you, except there were some instances in the valley which was just sprouting, and somewhere in the northeast also it was perhaps there, but very few people had that kind of experience. So when the army moved over there, the environment that was there was very new to all of us. The method of conducting operations in a counterinsurgency area was perhaps relegated to a second spot, because more training was generally directed towards conventional warfare. So when the army landed over there, you would have seen and read in the papers also, there were many casualties that took place, and it was seen that the rate at which we were actually suffering casualties far outpaced the unit's fighting potential. So as a result of which a conscious decision was taken to send all newly commissioned officers after their initial training in Pune from the Corps of Engineers to IPKF for periods of 4 to 5 months each.
Shorter durations.
Shorter durations. And they were to assist the other Corps of Engineers troops and units on the ground, be attached and affiliated to them. And like I said, since the training is same, we all knew what to do. Mines was not new to us, breaching minefield was not new to us, breaching defenses was not new to us. So that is where the Corps of Engineers exploited the training, and that is how we were all sent to IPKF to ensure that the operations of the Indian Army are conducted successfully.
Okay. So first of all, how did your family took that and how they reacted? Because always, obviously, for parents, there is a sense of fear is there when you are, of course, in the borders and joining the army from within India is different, or from the borders is different. But here you are going to a different country, as you said, surrounded by all the people all around. So was there any apprehension in your mind, or more especially in the mind of your parents?
I will put it like this. We were fresh out of training, and there was a very brief experience of the Kashmir Valley, which I had before going to the IPKF, before joining IPKF. To tell you very frankly, I was ecstatic, I was thrilled, and I was super excited to go, because it gave me a chance to apply all the training that we have all undergone. And this was a live scenario. And there were other batchmates also of mine who were also moving in with me. And like I said, it is the confidence, the mutual confidence that is there amongst us, which actually it does not put any element of fear in your mind, but just because you have a set of trained troops over there and we each know our job, that is what probably motivates you to to join IPKF without a hitch. However, yes, certainly your parents, your family members, your relatives, your friends, it's certainly a cause of concern, because they were seeing the kind of problem that the Indian Army was facing over there. Certainly, they were really concerned, and those times there were no mobile cell phones, and there was no means of communication except by writing letters. But I must tell you that the defense forces ensured all the aspects of operations which requires any kind of equipment, or all the aspects of administration which also include writing letters, was maintained 24/7 at all points in time. And so the comfort that people back home used to get was, if you get a letter from me or from any of their other loved ones, was that all is safe and sound. And certainly the Defence Forces looks after you any which way. They will make sure that everything is thought of. There are plan A, B, C, D, E, and all requirements are met without even you asking for it.
Yeah, that's great.
So that is where maybe the confidence of own parents and family members also lies, that he is in safe hands.
Okay. Now, for the benefit of younger generation, can you briefly tell what is the role of IPKF? Because even for me, it was a first-time experience, in the sense that till that point of time, I never knew that a foreign country's army goes to maintain peace in another country. And of course, America does many times. But as far as India is concerned, I don't know whether they have done earlier or not. For me, it was a first-time experience. And after that also, I never heard that India has done any similar kind of action. I don't know whether they have done it or not, but to my knowledge, they have not done. So what was the role at that point of time of IPKF?
Conventionally, Indian Army has been participating in every battle that has been fought over the last about 4 or 5 centuries, especially under the colonial rule that we were there under. So Indian Army participating in battles across the 7 seas was not new. However, the Indian Defence Forces role as peacekeepers, to my knowledge, was perhaps one of the earliest in Sri Lanka. The role being, like I said, that the Sri Lanka Accord that was there, by which the LTT were not supposed to fight, and we were there to maintain truce till such time some solution came out. Unfortunately, things took a nasty turn, and suddenly it became that we were caught in a web of counterinsurgency, which we were not expecting initially. Then all the administrative lines had to be opened from the mainland of India to Sri Lanka, and we were spread all over northern Sri Lanka. So various pockets of units were all over the place. So all the requirement of equipment, weapons, all kinds of explosives, ammunition, rations, water, medical, transit facilities for people who have to be evacuated or to go on leave or coming back from leave, all the alignment of ships and planes from mainland to Sri Lanka in a safe environment, all these things took some time to align. And having set that up, establishment of field headquarters, establishment of communication lines, we were in the throngs and throes of operations by which we were doing patrolling, we were doing ambush, we were breaching minefields, we were carrying out search operations. It was fighting in a, I'll say, in an unknown territory. It was just like any other small township. You all know Jaffna and other places. So it's called fighting in built-up areas. You don't know who is militant and who is not, because they had local support also. So if you had to look at someone, you had to look at him or her with some kind of X-ray kind of vision and try to make out whether is he or is he not, is she or is she not. So it was a very challenging work. Yes, we did have some casualties along the way, but we ended up learning a lot, which has helped us massively in conduct of other areas of militancy that exist in this country, like the Kashmir Valley, for example. So those learnings has helped us in in our own mainland, wherever the issues persist. So essentially the role was all that I summarized, and from the Corps of Engineers point of view, we were also operating patrol boats in the lagoons in Sri Lanka, as well as the neighboring seas of Sri Lanka, because sometimes the militants used to smuggle arms via the waterways, from point A to point B. So we developed that expertise also to fit our guns on the patrol boats and chase these boats and bring them down so that they fail in their mission to smuggle these arms and ammunition. So that led to a lot of seizures. So these are in short the various activities in Sri Lanka.
So when these peacekeeping forces go, will they work alongside their army, that is Sri Lankan Army, and you do a sort of a partnership sort of a thing, and whosoever is the militants or other people, as you say that the purpose is to maintain peace, but a situation comes where you have to when you are trying to be ambushed, you have to give it back and maybe kill people. So is it almost a full-time warfare sort of a thing, or it is at a minor level?
It is technically it is called counter-insurgency. You are countering the insurgent activities. In counter-insurgency, the first and foremost thing is you don't know who's an insurgent because they don't come with uniforms. You don't know the area generally in Sri Lanka. So you have to do your own ground recce and feel confident about it yourself. You have to develop your own intelligence network of trusted people. There are instances when you can be double-crossed also. So the Sri Lankan Army essentially was much confined to their own barracks because they were still in the infancy in correct terms of being called an army. We still train Sri Lankan people in our various training academies to bring them up to par as per the requirements of a war-fighting machinery of any nation. So during that accord, the Sri Lankan Army was largely relegated to the own confines of their own unit areas, and it was only the Indian Defence Forces that was played all over and taking control of the situation. So though we used to have assistance from them in terms of local intelligence, in terms of ground situations, however very limited in my area of influence and operations wherein we had any of the Sri Lankans participating alongside us.
Did you win any gallantry award for participating in IPKF or any time subsequent in your career?
No, I have not won any gallantry awards, but I have won a couple of peacetime awards for doing different kind of work for the army. But I have not got any gallantry awards.
Normally we see that in normal situations also, whenever there is a calamity, army always are pressed into rescue operations, and is army trained to do such activities? How do they do an excellent job compared to civilians or other people at the time of such calamities?
So another brilliant question. No army or any defense forces personnel will ever turn us back to a challenge. He will never turn away, whether he is alone or if he is in his unit. Again I come back to the training. The training is such that they push you to the limits of your willpower and beyond. They push you to the limits of thinking and beyond. You will often find defense force personnel coming out of an impossible situation by developing an out-of-the-box solution. A short example I'll give you is these people who are trapped in Silkyara tunnel. Finally, when all else failed in horizontal drilling, an engineer unit came out with a part solution of creating a track on top of the tunnel, and they started drilling down to reach them faster. So ingenious solutions, out of the box thinking, and your training actually qualifies you to feel confident and face any situation. So that is something which I am very proud of, which is ingrained in any person who has undergone the training. So come any calamity, when the army is pressed into service, you don't require any formal training. That training is already a part of your job that you're doing. It is just how you apply yourself, utilize the resources under your disposal, some collaboration with the civil administration. You would require that help, no doubt. and the motivation to accomplish the task successfully without any collateral damage in the best possible manner, 24/7, day or night, rain or snow, but that is how we are.
That's great. In fact, many times, I read in the papers and wonderful rescue operations being done, and fortunately, a lot of people hail that also, and that's a very, feel-good factor. Now, coming to your personal life, I know that, typical South Indian family, especially Telugu family, when they look for alliances, they go for a chartered accountant, doctor, and nowadays IT personnel. And as I said in the beginning, hardly anybody sends their children to the armed forces, and at least they offer their girl to a army officer. So did you face any problem while you were looking for alliances because of you being an army officer?
Well, I didn't face any problem. To be very modest, I'll say that I had delayed this alliance and my marriage a while because the army was giving me so many opportunities to work in different areas, and so I wanted to capitalize on all that. It just so happened that while there was, I suppose, some proposals were coming, but I used to just hold them at bay because I was not sure whether I'll be able to keep them comfortable in the areas where I was serving. And that time the infrastructure also was not as great as it is today. It is fantastic today. It was not bad that time either, because some memories are made of such like situations actually. However, in this particular case, the army also gave me a chance to become a sailor. So I became a national level sailor.
Great.
And it was in Hyderabad that I just won a sailing championship along with my partner.
Excellent.
And I went to visit my father's colleague's house. Well, somewhere maybe it may have struck a chord with him, and he only came forward with the proposal. So to tell you frankly, I had no qualms about it, and my wife Nija, I suppose somewhere, though she didn't have the opportunity, but she probably harbored some affection for people in uniform, and maybe she took the first opportunity to perhaps express her love for the uniform as well as be patriotic herself, and that's how it materialized.
Okay, now coming to the post-retirement scenario, you retired as you said that you retired as a colonel. Then did you take any assignment outside the army?
So I retired in September 2021, and I took a full 1-year break. Okay. Because I thought I must, give myself a 1-year long paid holiday, so that I can unwind a bit, be with my family for a while, because most of the time, by virtue of the exchange of service, you're generally flitting in and out of the house. Spend time with my son, chase their hobbies. I went and summited Mount Kilimanjaro in the meantime.
Oh, great.
So I did all those things which perhaps I didn't have the time to do. So for 1 year I didn't do anything, and post 1 year there were a lot of people who came up with nice offers based upon my experience on my combat side as well as from my engineering side. But I wanted something more local to Hyderabad or Delhi, because my parents in Delhi and my wife working over here. So an opportunity came my way where I am working for a small company over here, and accordingly it suits me to be located in Hyderabad, and of course it's a private sector company.
Okay. Now coming to that thing, that how did you take the transition from being such a very senior army officer, all disciplined, people used to accept the commands, which is definitely not the case in private sector. Maybe of course some organization may be disciplined to some extent or the other, but definitely people don't accept anything without questioning of it. And nowadays of course private sector is encouraged also by whatever name they give. So how comfortable you are in the private sector environment?
So firstly, I work for a great company called the Ideal Road Builders, and I must, thank them immensely for onboarding me in a most seamless manner, in which they actually explained what is expected of me and what kind of organizational hierarchy I'm going to function in, what is the role and charter of each and every person under me. But I must also say that many organizations look for officers from the defense forces for various reasons. Typical amongst them, I will say, is that discipline, loyalty, integrity, objectivity, decision making, some of the traits that come to my mind. And in the army, like I said, it's a 24/7 job. Even if you're on leave or you're not on leave, even if the office is closed or it is not closed, there's always something on your plate. You are not scared, or you don't think twice to move from place A to B, because in my 33 years, I must have moved at least 15-16 times with my entire bag and baggage. You're not afraid of facing any kind of situation on the ground. You're able to handle everything around within the resources given to you to the extent possible. So these are some typical qualities I suppose the civil organization also try and look for, because my role essentially, though I'm fairly young in the entire hierarchy, I spend most of my time amalgamating and integrating my team to make them feel that they are one unit. That is how we have been trained in the army. There could be some 600-700 people in my unit, but they all bear the same name. We all belong to, say, 18th Engineer Regiment.
Yes.
So that is some naam, namak and nishan, which is very popular in the army.
Okay.
That is what I try and develop with the team that I have. Owe allegiance to the company to which you're working for. Keep the organization aim in the mind, and you are working towards the desired goals of the organization. So I address the person, I lay down the procedures, and I'm sure the results will follow.
That's great. Coming to your children, are they like you, want to join army? Did they join army, or at any point of time thought of joining army?
Yes, actually, I have a young son. He's in his final year BTech.
Okay.
He definitely aspires to join the army just like me.
Excellent.
He's very much enamored by the kind of life that the Defence Forces gives you, the kind of man it makes a young boy out, the kind of roles that you perform, the kind of training you undertake. One may not be a master of everything, but one will have a 360-degree experience of everything. In addition to that, they give you a lot of benefits, a lot of opportunities to not only perform your professional work, but also other peacetime activities like sailing, trekking, mountaineering, horse riding, games, so on and so forth. These are those things which are not easily available anywhere in the civil, and these are ingrained in any day-to-day activity of any unit. That is something I think my son likes, and he won't bat an eyelid should he get selected.
Excellent, excellent. I wish him all the best for that.
Thank you, sir.
What is the advice of you to the youngsters who want to join army and defense forces? Is still an attractive proposition compared to a lot of IT boom and other things, and are people getting a lot of opportunities going abroad? Compared to 80s and 90s, things have drastically changed. So how attractive the defense forces are still for the youngsters?
The defense forces, especially in India, it's like a candle in the rain. It will never snuff out. They build you up to such an extent that you are able to rise to any occasion that demands your total attention, focus, and channelizes your energy to achieve the desired results. It is also the aim of every organization or any opportunity outside the defense forces as well. But the speed at which the defense forces will bring you up to speed with the requirements on the ground. Just for example, when a person gets commissioned, he's approximately 21 years of age, or maybe 22 years of age. You will be at least heading 100 people under you from day one. You will be taking them into battle, bringing them back safely. You will be looking out the welfare of each and every person, because each and every person under your command, his happiness, his joy, his sorrows are also your happiness, joy and sorrows. That is where you build up the camaraderie and the esprit de corps. That kind of environment that you exist is so well insulated. It is so well insulated with traditions. It's something that you will bloom, blossom and enjoy. You are not a one-man army. You are an army of your brothers in arms. So the entire ecosystem that surrounds a person serving in defense forces is vastly different from what exists in the on the CV street. On the CV street, by and large, yes, in the office you're a great team. You could be a team lead, you could be anybody in the organization. But once you leave the portals of your office, you're a one-man army. In the defense forces, till such time, not only you're serving, even after you have retired also, your affiliations with the army and the army's affiliation towards you continues and stays lifelong. So for somebody who's looking for a career in the defense forces, he doesn't have to change his mindset. He has to adapt to the requirements of the organization, and the organization will lay out a red carpet for him or her. One doesn't have to struggle, but just do what is required and what is expected. Be loyal, be fierce in your thinking, be truthful, and of course be a great team member. If you want all this and you want to lead a life of spectacular vision and horizon, certainly defense forces are there. A similar view exists in the CV street also, but like I said, in the defense forces you will get it at 22 years of age, maybe in the CV street, maybe a little delayed down the line. And more importantly, the bond that exists, just like between a mother and a son or a daughter, the same bond continues to exist lifelong.
That's wonderful. Now the last question is that since I'm a movie buff, I'll end up my question with something related to the movies. In 60s and 70s, whenever we used to see anything shown about army personnel, is that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes somebody gets killed, and there is some problem back home with a wife or a girlfriend, something like that. So the representation of the defense forces is only limited to that. Compared to that, for the last 15-20 years, a lot of biopic movies are made, and movies are made on incidents like Col Girishwar and other things. Now while we are interviewing, we're doing this chart show, I think Sam Bahadur is released in the theatres, yes, and right. We had Yuri. So by that, actually people, the general public, come to know if it is represented well, which of course in many cases it is, that how much of hardship the defense forces go through, how much of sacrifices they make, and fortunately almost all of them were super hits. Especially Yuri has become a big commercial hit. I think it was one of the biggest grosses in the year it released. So what is your take on that? Is it good that such movies are made, and do you think that more and more such movies and should come highlighting the contributions made by many people for the motherland?
I'm really grateful to the movie makers who pick up topics related to the defense forces. It certainly puts us under the spotlight, and it also gives a canvas to the people of this country and to the people across the world as to the functions of the defense forces, our way of doing things, and our reasons for our success. I must tell you that defense forces by and large are respected all over the world, but Indian defense forces are respected hugely in the United Nations peacekeeping forces wherever we participate. It is by virtue of the fact that they are also confident that given a task they will accomplish well before time and in a most professional manner. While in the army, until unless you are a part of the organization, you will not really know standing outside what happens. So these movies gives you a great glimpse into some selected chapters of our glorious Indian history, where the army has played a crucial role. Now, army, I mean to say defense forces, played a crucial role to ensure that our country's integrity and honor remains intact. So these movies are definitely a very good medium to communicate in a very short span of time, not your achievements, but I will say the entire ecosystem that we have around us. I'm sure a lot of people get inspired also, and parents also do get inspired to probably motivate the children to join the army, or at least support them in their efforts to join the defense forces. So certainly these movies, at the rate at which they are coming, it is very nice. It gives a lot of honor to the people who have participated in these operations. It gives a lot of insights to the people who are watching the movies, as well as it gives a medium for the Indian Army also to feel elated about somebody picking up a topic and making a movie out of it. It is definitely a delight to all of us.
Yeah, that is true, because I have seen people clapping for NTR's or Rajinikanth's or Mithun Chakravarti's, but whereas nowadays in the theatres, when I went for Major, people clapping when the attack was going on in the Taj, it was a welcome change. So that's all, Girish. It was so nice talking to you. I seen you as a kid going to school way back in 1977. Right from 77 words, I was following your progress in your personal life as well as professional life, going up to the level of colonel. We are really proud of, and our entire family, as you know, that my parents, my sister, my siblings are all big time fans of you, and I have been thinking to have this chat show for a long time. Today, almost at it started at 10, and maybe now it's almost supposed to be close to midnight.
Yeah.
Maybe to complete around midnight. Since I'm traveling tomorrow, I had to catch you at a very wrong time.
No.
Thanks for sparing your time, and I hope you enjoyed this chat show.
Certainly, your family, your parents definitely are very close to me. As we were neighbors in Delhi, and though I may have gone to various training academies and spent my time already home, but it was always a pleasure to come back home and meet all of you, and I still do, because in my entire overall upbringing, your family was very integral to my bringing up and kind of chiseling my mindset. I'm really grateful, and certainly the chance that I had to serve in the defense forces, it was from a very nice comfort zone of the confines of my home, your house, wherein I used to feel confident that look, all these people around me, should something go amiss, I'm sure I can bank on them. So that is where I find my strength from. That my own friends and relatives, or much like my family, they are always around me, and I know it has been a very long association, and I'm happy to be in Hyderabad, to be continue to associate with you. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and certainly this chat show that you have done, it has also brought out a lot of aspects which probably I have not ever discussed or talked about it.
Yeah, that is the idea. In fact,
Yeah.
one by one, I am covering a few people from the defense forces.
Yeah.
As you know, recently I did a chat show with Nachiketa, and now you.
Yes,
and
I saw that. Yeah.
A couple of people are lined up. So I, from my side, may not be able to make a big budget movie, but with these chat shows, I want to bring whatever the things you have gone through and the way you served the country.
Yeah. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I wish you all the very best, and I'm so grateful that you have come over and spoke to me at length. It just shows how interested you are also in such like things, and I'm sure anybody who views this will also feel inspired to at least motivate others, or at least understand the mindset in which the defense forces work in. I'm thankful to you for this opportunity, and it is my first chat show, so congratulations to you too.
Thank you very much, and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was retired Colonel Girish in conversation with Prabhakar. I hope you enjoyed this episode. We will bring more episodes with achievers in every walk of life in our future episodes.